Show you briefly right now what you want your darkroom to look like. So we're going to turn off the lights and just talk very briefly, and that'll give you guys an idea of actually how you want your darkroom to look. But for your reference, this whole process we're going to be filming in the light, so we're actually not going to be light safe, but we have to do it that way so we can show you how to do it. Okay, now we are in the light safe and darkroom environment. In this particular darkroom, we have one window, and over that window, it's behind the camera so you can't see it. You'll probably see it later on in the shoot, but it has the amber lith over that to block out all the UV rays. We also have two light safe bulbs, one behind the camera and one right here in just this desk lamp stand. There's 60-watt light safe bulbs, so you can see that you can definitely see what's going on in this darkroom, but right now we're 100% light safe. One thing that I also want to show you guys that I couldn't show you earlier because we weren't in a light safe environment is you guys want to get or want to build a screen drying rack. Now this is very handy to have in your darkroom. It saves space. It allows your screens to dry properly. This is one that we sell. It runs about $170. Holds 16 screens. Just slide them in and out. Very handy to have in your darkroom. Saves a lot of space. Very nice to let your screens dry in a screen drying rack. You can also build them. They're fairly easy to build as well. One thing you want to have for your drying rack and also in your darkroom is you want to have your ability to cover this drying rack and cover this screen rack so that if you have to turn the lights on in your room, or if you're washing screens out and getting water over the place, your screens that are drying or that are still need to be light safe because they haven't been exposed can be that way. So you just want to get like a black sheet, a heavy black sheet or a black tarp to cover your drying rack so you can turn your lights on in your darkroom, you can wash out screens, you can turn your exposure unit on, and that's going to protect the unexposed screens in your drying rack. You can also use very heavy black trash bags to put your screens in, so you can pre-coat dozens of screens at a time, so you're not having to go coat screens and let them dry. You can pre-coat and dry. You can fill this whole rack up with unexposed screens and let them sit for about 2 to 3 weeks. So that way you're not having to do that every time you go to expose a screen. Once you need a screen to expose, you can just pull a screen out of the drying rack and go expose it on your exposure unit. So, but for that you're going to want something, either black trash bags to put the screens in, or a big sheet or canvas, something black to cover your drying rack so that you keep those screens safe and free of UV light. Now that we've talked about this darkroom process, we're going to go in and actually show you guys the processes and how to do them hands-on in this DVD. The first part in the screen preparation process, and one of the most important, is screen degreasing. Now once you've got your screen out of your box or out of your shipping container, however you got them, and even if you're reclaimed the job and you're using the screen to set up another job on, you're always going to want to degrease this. Degreasing gets all the contaminants off the screen so the emulsion, once you put the emulsion on, can bond to the screen properly. It's a fairly simple and fast process to do. What you want to do is you want to take your pressure washer or your hose and get the screen wet. Then with your screen degreaser or neutralizer, that's the product that we sell, you want to come and just spray that over the screen. Now we have a backlit washout sink, but this process does not necessarily have to have a backlit washout booth. We're just going to turn it on so we can see what we're doing a little bit better for your guys' sake. Then we're going to want to take our scrub pad that's labeled degreaser, and we're going to want to come, we're going to get a little wet first, then come in and just work in the degreaser to the screen. Make sure we get all the contaminants out of the screen. You want to start on the outside, and then you want to move to the inside. And you can tell when it's worked in when it starts to lather up. Once it's worked in, you want to take your pressure washer once again and start on the back of it. Start from top, head towards bottom. Then move to the front of it. You really want to make sure that you get all the soap out of this screen. If you leave soap in this screen, your emulsion is definitely not going to bond properly, and your screen's going to wash out in areas you don't want it to wash out at. Once you see that you clearly washed away all the soap particles, you're just going to give the screen a good tap to get the water out of it. That can be done, just gets most of the water out of it. And you're going to want to come put it in front of a fan or in your drying rack to dry. Okay, right now we're going to show you how to mix properly your dual cure and diazo emulsion. Now there are many different brands of emulsions, so you're going to want to read those emulsion instructions very carefully so that you know how to mix properly for the brand that you're using. The brand that we use is CCI, Chemical Consultants Incorporated, and this emulsion that we're going to be mixing today is DXP. It's the most user-friendly emulsion. It's one we definitely recommend for all you beginners. Okay, basically with this emulsion, this is your bottle of diazo. Now it's a very fine powder in this bottle right now, so you always want to make sure to keep this cap on until you mix this with water. Otherwise this diazo will go everywhere and you won't get a proper content and mixture ratio with your emulsion. You want to mix this halfway with distilled water. So we're just going to pour water in. Until it gets to the halfway mark. Then you want to put your cap back on. Then you want to shake it around probably for about a minute to maybe 2 minutes. You want to make sure that you get all that powder mixed in with the water. Once this is shaken properly, once again you want to do it for about a minute to 2 minutes. We're going to come and we're going to open our emulsion. Remember, this is all done in a light safe environment with your light safe yellow bulbs or your amberlith on the windows, because we're doing this right now in the lit environment, but you would be doing this process in the light safe environment. Most emulsions will come with the stir stick. See this content of emulsion right here? This is all unsensitized emulsion. So we're going to want to take this on the inside of the cap and scrape it into the container of emulsion. Because if we put this cap back on and we don't scrape this in, it's going to drop unsensitized emulsion into the sensitized emulsion. So we're going to scrape that off, get as much off as we can so that we do not get any drips. Once that's done, we're going to take our diazo and dump it into the emulsion. Now the diazo is a very, very yellow stain look to it, so you'll get on your fingers, you'll see the yellow stain. Even after when you expose your screen, you'll see yellow in the emulsion. That's your diazo. Now once that's in, we want to start mixing slowly and mix in the diazo to the emulsion. Now, depending what brand you're using, depending what kind of emulsion you're using, many different emulsions have different colors. This particular color is pink. And once we mix the diazo, because the diazo is so yellow in content, it's going to turn like an orangish color. However, after it's exposed and dried on your screen, it's going to look more pinkish again. So you're going to want to mix this. You're going to definitely want to take your time, get all the edges mixed over, get all the unsensitized emulsion off the edges, mix in the emulsion very, very good. This process usually takes roughly, I would say, mixing a good amount of emulsion, probably 5 minutes. Because you definitely want to get all the diazo mixed in so you don't see how there's streaks in the emulsion right now. You don't want to see any streaks. You want it to be all solid in color. So that's going to take a little bit of time to mix. We're getting the bottom of the can. You want to make sure to get the bottom of the can, bring the bottom unsensitized emulsion up to the top so you can mix it in. You can see the emulsion start to conform more to the color. You're definitely going to want to keep going until you see no streaks whatsoever in it at all.